Garry Paskwietz and Darrell Rideaux here from Brian Kennedy Howard Jones Field. Darrell, it is Oregon week, and I don't think there's any question it's going to be an explosive ball game on both sides of the ball. But one thing to watch for the Trojans is going to be the tailback spot. We know Justin Davis is out right now, high ankle sprain, not sure what his availability is going to be. But then tonight at the Tuesday practice, Cedric Ware suffered a little injury as well, not sure what his availability might be. How does that impact things if Ronald Jones all of a sudden has to carry a much bigger load?
You know, at a time when this USC offense has been clicking on all cylinders and really settling in at the rotation spot, especially at the running back position, now you're asking Ronald Jones to service more carries. You know, perhaps he's up for the challenge, not a lot of tread on those tires, and he's really feeling himself coming off a 223-yard game last week. But it's the times that where he needs a breather. Who do you rotate in? How do you manufacture yards to keep the chains moving? That's going to be a question for USC to have to answer come Saturday night.
And there's also going to be an injury situation to watch for the Trojans in the secondary. On defense, Jonathan Lockett, still unclear how much he might be able to go. And so that calls into question, do you bring in a corner to replace him? Do you drop down a safety? How do you think Clay Helton's going to play that one?
And that's a very interesting dynamics, because when not all injuries are measured the same. If it's a linebacker position when you have a lot of depth, that's one thing, Gary. But when you talk about taking a guy out like Jonathan Lockett, who's played very well at the nickel position, you take him out. Now, do you trust, if you're Clancy Pendergast, do you trust a young corner coming off the bench, or do you bring in one of your veteran safeties to cover down? Look for guys like Leon McQuay or Chris Hawkins to come in and fill some of that void. But what that does is that impacts their depth in the way that they rotate. And if Oregon gets off and they built the momentum the way that we've seen them do in years past, it could be a long night. Look for conditioning to perhaps play a factor.
And then what is it about this Oregon offense, Darrell? We've seen them have the ability to be so explosive. They have a true freshman quarterback out there, but they got a lot of skilled players around him.
And when you cover a team like Oregon, you have to account for everyone, especially an athletic quarterback. And that's what makes them so dangerous. Because when you think you have everybody covered, the quarterback escapes and extends the plays. We're now starting to benefit from that with Sam Darnold, but this is an offense that can get going. But that's why you hire a guy like Clancy Pendergast. You bring him in to confuse and disrupt the timing and rhythm of this Oregon offense. If USC continues down the pattern that we've seen in weeks past, look for them to have success. But if depth becomes an issue and a factor, and this game is close late, then it's a gimme.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Homecoming for the Trojans, as much as a 17-point favorite in this one. For Darrell Rideaux, this is Garry Paskwietz, WeAreSC.